Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Chris Castle. He's the CEO and Managing Director of Chatham Rock Phosphate. Chris, very good to meet you. So for viewers not familiar with the company, tell us a little bit about Chatham Rock Phosphate.
Well, Chatham was established by me back in 2006, about the time that the rock phosphate prices started going crazy because the Moroccan suppliers, OCP, moved the rock phosphate price from $40 a tonne to up over 400. And so, being based in New Zealand, I looked around and I knew about a phosphate project here that had been around for decades. And so I was the quickest one to peg that project. It's out on the Chatham Rise, and hence the name of the company. Chatham has obviously historic connections to the UK. I've actually been to Chatham House in London and so on. But we have the only phosphate deposit in New Zealand, and we are an ideal substitute for rock phosphate, which is currently imported from Morocco, which has high freight costs. The Moroccan phosphate is actually borrowed from the Western Sahara, to use euphemism, and is very high in cadmium. Our rock phosphate is a natural rock phosphate, no cadmium, and is right on our doorstep. So I've been working with that project since 2006. I've raised more than $50 million for it. We have a granted mining permit. We've had one since 2013. I've put together a team of scientists. We applied for an environmental permit in 2015. We're turned down. We're fundraising now to reapply, either that or using the cash flows from our Australian projects, which we've more recently acquired since 2022.
So Chris, tell us about your key project, what stage you're at with that, and when you would expect to start getting phosphates out of the ground.
The imminent production project is Corella North, and that's expected to get a granted mining permit about 6 weeks from now, and will be in production in Q4 2024. The cash flows from that are expected to fund Corella South, which is nearby, a much bigger project, a project we have in French Polynesia called Avenir Makatea, and then ultimately going back to the original project, the Chatham Rise, which is the mother of them all, and is going to be the largest. And the most exciting thing about the New Zealand project is the fact that the legislation has changed, or the government has changed here recently. We suddenly have a new government which is completely pro mineral development. In New Zealand, governments have successfully over the last 20 years been more and more anti-mining, not realizing that in fact, if you want to mine anything, you need to, if you want to use anything in the modern day society, you've got to mine it. And so our most recent government is a right-wing coalition, and that has not only said it's going to change the law, it is about to, and as part of that process, we've been invited to be on a fast-track process to get an environmental permit. It's nearly a decade since we were turned down. We've been against an increasingly environmental-focused government, and the world has completely changed. So those changes have already sparked interest from American investors who are starting to invest in our latest private placement.
I see that Canada's also added phosphorus to its critical minerals list. So take us through the market dynamics for phosphorus, for phosphate, and why that makes you an investment case.
I think Canada's a bit belatedly getting onto that list because Australia was there first, and Blind Freddie and his donkey would know that in fact you need phosphate in order to grow crops anywhere around the world. If you don't have phosphate, your production levels are about 10% of normal. So making them critical minerals has been blindingly obvious to people who work in the fertilizer industry for decades. The Western governments are concerned that, like rare earth minerals, China controls a large part of the rock phosphate market, and therefore phosphorus and rock phosphate is back on the radar. I mean, our rock phosphate from French Polynesia has already been certified as an organically acceptable phosphate in North America. That was done 5 years ago.
Chris, I hope you'll keep us posted with progress at your projects. Thank you very much for the introduction to the company today.
Okay, thank you. That was it's a pleasure to be able to talk to you guys. Thank you very much for the opportunity.